Hello and welcome to another episode of That's Hot podcast. Checks list. Which podcast is this? That's Hot. So we are back and we grew up in a specific time and I feel like fashion media, it was like sparse. And now it feels like, everybody, Instagram, TikTok, we're always inundated with like fashion. So it was like Sim Pickens back whenever we were like growing up. And
Yes.
so one of the major hit shows was Rachel Zoe.
I also want to say that I think because of that limited amount of fashion media, like we had the one fashion show with I think Cindy Crawford on MTV like years and years. And then we had like things like Rachel Zoe, like reality shows that will pop up. I think that like put the spotlight on it and then it pushed a lot of girls to want careers in that because it seemed like niche and cool. And then we had, of course, Lauren Conrad on the Hills do her Vogue internship with Whitney Port. And it made a lot of girls feel like, ooh, like this is a cool thing I can get into, like fashion industry, blah, blah, blah. And now it's so oversaturated. Like everybody and their grandma has a fashion line or is trying to go to Fashion Week just to be seen. We have fashion influencers that are openly on social media saying they don't care about fashion, but they're just doing all these try on hauls and outfit change videos for like the money, the monetary benefits of it from social media. Hate the landscape.
So also it made everything democratic. So like everybody has a label, everybody does this and that. And I guess that's kind of good, I guess. But also I think we're at a point where not everybody's opinion is valid and we don't need to hear
No.
it. Some people like they have the background, like we said, or everybody does mention, is just that, whenever towards the end, Andre Leon Talley, he had that context for fashion. So he knew the history and context for like why was that trending? Where was that previously? And a lot of these people who are, newer to fashion, they enjoy it for what it is, but they don't have that context. What's nice about like Rachel Zoe is that I'm sure we'll get into it and you'll see that she was, I'm sure, a privileged white lady. But she really cared and she knew what she wanted. She did have a vision. And so she started out in styling. Eventually, she did branch out. I think I saw recently that a bigger like private equity or something did purchase her Rachel Zoe line because in that first season, we do see her just like she had been styling for some time before that. She had big clients such as Anne Hathaway, Kate Hudson, Liv Tyler, and she was looking to that foray to get into fashion like with her own label. So she was meeting with private equity, I think, or just different manufacturers for
Investors.
her investors. That's the exact
Hmm.
investors to for her brand to really come to fruition. So for this episode, we're going to be talking about the first season of Rachel Zoe Project.
Yes.
Right off the
So,
bat, it obviously you can tell Tamerlan is influenced by oh my god, what's her name?
Taylor,
Taylor. Yes, who is a major bitch.
yes. Big, all caps, bold letters.
Yes,
But this is her aesthetic, like moody, rock star, which kind of is weird. Like, I don't even know why she would like celebrity styling. And then, like, it gives way to her attitude, too, about everything, kind of how she's like, can't be bothered. Now everything is annoying and she's not really impressed by anything. It's like, why are you there? You should be styling like
yes,
Simple Plan or something, music video, Fallout Boy.
yes. She was so annoyed with every little thing, with her job,
Hmm.
with like specifically award shows. She hated how like it wasn't about the fashion; it was about the celebrity. At that point, I think that whole like conversation with like, oh, fashion's not about this or that. Like that's the whole point of fashion. It's just it evolves with the time. And like we're so far removed now because like back in the '90s, that's whenever they started putting celebrities in fashion on the covers and everything. But without those celebrities, these fashion brands would not exist.
Exactly. And that's why I felt like it was kind of like over the top annoying. And I couldn't believe it rewatching because I used to like live and breathe the show. I used to love it so much when I was younger that I was so irritated watching this back. Like, shut up. Like, if there weren't celebrities, you wouldn't have a job. You're getting paid to put clothes on people so the brands can get notoriety, so they can get more customers. You're essentially like another advertising arm of the design houses, which is why you can say with such a pompous attitude that, like, ugh, we never buy things. Like, ugh, it's rare.
Yes.
We always borrow. And that's also why you have all this drama in your day-to-day work life is because you're waiting on free clothes to get to your job so you can put them on people that you get paid to dress. Like, are we missing that part in the ecosystem there? Did you not, like, you don't know where your paycheck comes from? You think Rachel pays you because, like, how do you think she get the money? She get it from Roger?
Right. I guess like if like any of one of us, if we had showed up to our job and had that kind of behavior, of course it was good probably for the ratings and the television, like the drama aspect of it. But if any one of us, especially a colored person, came to our job with that nasty attitude, we'd be gone ASAP.
I think that specifically on the attitude and the entitlement of Taylor, and I hate to just drag her, but she kind of dragged herself. I don't think any person of color would ever even attempt to come to a job with that type of attitude because they know it wouldn't be tolerated. The way that she would just have a fit and like go to her car or flat out tell Rachel Zoe, like, no, I'm not doing that. No, like, girl,
Yes. Like, that's your boss.
we can. And she's just like, no. And like, I'm so annoyed. She's so annoying. But let's stay on topic. Number
And to your
one.
point, like, it's kinda like the Devil Wears Prada. A million girls would kill for that job, so if, like, you just deign to be there, we can find somebody else.
And that was another thing that was super annoying. Like I basically I just started season two like last night this morning. When she kept on bringing up the fact that oh I've been here, and I'm still doing the same thing I did when I started. There's only like 5 tasks to a styling job, nigga. It's picking the clothes up, ordering them, emailing the people, picking them up, getting them to the studio, and putting them on the person. That's it. What other jobs
Rinse
do
and
you think
repeat.
exist?
That's your job.
Overnight, she's like, I'm still just schlepping bags and I'm doing this and I'm. What do you think? And then it gets down to the point where, okay, well, do you want to be Rachel? Because then you should just quit.
Yes.
And she would be so mean to Brad, like, ew. I hated that.
Yes, and he tried so hard. Poor Brad. So we're talking about Brad Goreski, who joins the
Hmm.
team, that first episode. Taylor just puts him through the ringer, just, like, with her nasty attitude. You know, obviously, she's entitled, but there's no communication. The whole work environment just seems so chaotic, obviously, and really toxic just because things are expected of you right off the bat. Like there's no communication about like processes or how things are done within this specific, like the Zoe camp is what they call it. How are you supposed to come in as a new person and immediately know this and that? And that's held against you by Taylor. And then when things fall through the cracks, eventually reaches to Rachel. Taylor's constantly getting mad at him because of, his quote unquote like incompetence, but it's because they didn't set him up for success. And so, yeah, of course, they was bound to fail at some point on some project, and he did. What was the thing? Oh, yeah. It was for, I believe, the Golden Globes,
Oh, we
and
can't talk about the episodes out of order.
okay, okay.
Okay, we're going one by one. So
We'll
first
get to it.
episode,
Okay.
yes, because I have detailed notes about how she set him up to fail, and then she basically explained how she did it in one of these episodes. That's why I'm like, I hate to be against you, Taylor, but I am. And that undone hair.
Yeah.
Joy Bryant. Speaking of people with undone hair, Miss Joy Bryant came on the show this first episode, and she was getting
Yes.
style for something. They went to Decades in LA, which I love. That's one of the things that I loved about rewatching the show is like all of the old LA nostalgia. As an LA child, it's like, oh, it doesn't even look like that anymore, and like certain stores aren't there, and a bunch of it was just cool to see. So they went to Decades, a vintage designer store, and Rachel always in a store will shop for herself. And that's also a problem in her personal
Yes.
life that we get to in this season because she's always shopping. And as a shopper, I understand that, but at a certain point, it's like she's kind of rebuying the same thing. And
Yes.
that was a knock on her because I remember when I used to read the fashion magazines back then, like the Reports, the People, the Us Weekly, all of that, they would call her girls the Zobot because she said she styled everyone the same and she styled everyone like herself in like that boho chic kind of,
Yes.
which became big, like Phoebe Philo at Chloe and all that. It became big, so don't shade her for it. They went to meet Michael Kors in person in the first episode, which was cool.
Mhm, mhm.
They had the whole
Where
little
she's
sit
even,
down
like,
with
asking
him.
him for advice because of, like, growing her brand, and, like, this is, like, I guess the height basically of Michael Kors, right? And just, like, he was everywhere.
This is before he became like a Ross Marshalls brand. This was like
Yes.
when at the peak when they were still selling at the nicer stores, Nordstrom, this, that, when everybody had those big Michael Kors watches. I had one. It was like $400, a big gold watch. He was like, it was in the start of his like bootlegging all of the hits from the other major brands and just
Yes.
put
That's
Michael
basically what it
Kors on
was.
it and selling it to his audience. Yeah, because that watch we had was like a fake show part or something. Anyway, but she is getting advice from him about going into the product business and product line. And he's telling her essentially, oh, you think your life is crazy now? It's going to be even more. And when I was at first, when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's the last thing she needs. The more I watch the season, I'm like, oh, her life isn't crazy at all. This is all a circus of her own making. Like, none of this is really, and that's why everybody else looks at her like Brad. She said she doesn't like when her husband trivializes what she does, and different people came on later in the season, but yeah. Brad
Yes.
also came from Vogue, which I didn't remember that.
Oh, I vaguely recall that. I didn't realize how much older he was than I thought he was. So he was, like, 30 whenever he joined them.
Yeah, like he was like a grown man. I mean, he's dressing like, despite him dressing like a bellhop, it was like, he was grown. What do you think about his fashion sense? Because
I think it was okay. I felt like it was, that whole, like, preppy, but it was, like, so far preppy in, like, a kind of like a dandy, flamboyant. I think obviously with time, he took that, evolved it, and made it a bit more personal and also mature. 'Cause right there, it was, like, super youthful. It was just like,
The little boy at a wedding.
yes. Yeah.
And then my specific note says Taylor is a bitch. Exactly what's wrong with fashion people whose attitude is their whole personality. Because she made it like a point to be mean all the time. And to just at a point, it's not even meanness, it's just you're a sullen individual. You just, you're like Eeyore. You're always just sad. You're like the man from the trash can in the Sesame Street show. It's like eternal. The craziest like early 2000s call out from this episode to me was piperlime.com. All my it girls,
My gosh.
y'all know that she was on Piperline back in the day trying to get a little something. And I think eventually Rachel Zoe moved her like consulting from that to Just Fab. If any of you guys remember Just Fab, like the shoe subscription service, it was when they first started doing subscription services, and they would have like celebrity, basically before the term influencer became so colloquialized. It was like they would have Rachel Zoe curate a collection of Just Fab, and then you would do the subscription, and you would have all of these pieces personally selected for you, quote unquote, by Rachel Zoe. Or like later on Kim Kardashian and blah blah blah. And then another funny thing from episode 1 was when Brad told Taylor, like, are you gonna flip the bitch switch? She was being calm and something happened. What are your key takeaways from episode 1 if you had never seen the show before? So we gotta talk about this with the viewers, like we're watching the show with them. So like if you didn't know anything about Rachel Zoe prior to this, how would you take it?
I think it was really cool just because, like, maybe that first episode, not so much, but as we get into it, you, like, really got a feel for what a stylist does.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine it is pretty chaotic just because there's a lot of like pieces you have to organize with the celebrity, with the jewelry, putting the whole entire outfit together. That's really cool because up to that, time, fashion can be like a really like secretive or, proprietary of
Elusive.
their, yes. And so it was nice just like to see like behind the curtain, just like what all goes into it. Of course, there was all that like makeshift drama, and Taylor
Mm-hmm.
didn't help it because she had that nasty attitude. But yeah, it was really cool just like even right now, like binging it, which by the way, if you want to watch it, it's on Peacock. So
Mm-hmm.
Peacock, endorse us.
Yes, Peacock, give us a little. Because we can rewatch all your old shows. We can do commentary on them, much like HBO does with their shows. They always launch a little podcast or a little like to go piece with their content.
Yes. Yeah, so it was nice. There was like all the and there's the personalities. Each one of them did bring us something to it. Like, of course, Rachel, she's there. She's like the typical like fashion girly, kind of aloof. And what would you say? Like, obviously, she's smart enough. But even then, she's like, oh, I don't know, like I'm just a pretty girl and I just shop. I didn't realize actually that her hair was always so frizzy. Like, as for a stylist, I can say that because my hair's frizzy too. But her hair was quite a bit. It was frizzy. And then I guess I could kind of mention to it because as far as aesthetics, she was very gaunt. And so she
Hmm.
did have like, because of that gauntness, there was like folds on her face and wrinkles, which is whatever, But it was because of her gauntness, which becomes an issue in, I think, a later season. We'll talk about it later, though.
Yes, yes. And it's crazy how the person that was demonized the most is kind of the only person in her corner in regards to that, which is Brad.
Yes.
Sick, sick, sick. But
How did you feel
anyways,
about the show? Like,
oh wait, about like
from
in what regard?
the same way, just like the outside perspective from this a viewer who's never seen it.
Okay. I feel that number one, I definitely agree with you that it was very like niche and cool and kind of like even maybe voyeuristic to show the day to day of a fashion stylist and specifically a celebrity fashion stylist because of all of the moving parts that goes with that. And then because of them being public facing people, I think the average American, when they see them on the red carpet or they see them like even in their day to day life out, like paparazzi pictures, whatever, they assume that that person picked those clothes or that person went out and purchased the clothes and blah, 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 just like they would for themselves. But that's not at all how it happened. And that's
No.
never how it's happened. And even in old Hollywood, it was probably worse because there were like ateliers and stylists and they had a different job which was actually making the clothes that made the person look the best. So it's like, oh yeah, so and so has a bigger bust, so we need to do this and that, like we learned at the Edith Head exhibit. Like it was people like Edith
Exactly, which we
Head.
have an episode on. Totally go listen to that. We'll link it
But
above.
yes, pre Rachel Zoe was like people like Edith Head specifically like crafting a person's image, where Rachel Zoe has to come in now and kind of give you a heightened more version of yourself. So that's I think what a lot of her struggle is throughout the season too, is like going back and forth with what she likes, what the designers present, and then what she know the celebrity will look best in, or even what they won't want to wear.
Yes. And I think even the kind of like, that role has kind of changed because
Hmm.
previously it was like Rachel fitting this person, like, whether it be a Kate Hudson, Anne Hathaway, finding their personal style and fitting it to them. But now I would say with the Law Roach or Brett something that does
Brett Allen
Doja's.
Larson.
Yes. Don't you think they're really a part of the whole production of them as like an entity? Curating, what does he say? Law Roach says he's a
He's an image
architect.
architect.
Image architect. Yes. So, like, he's very involved with that person, not just like styling what they have separately as their brand, but he's really
Mhm.
helping to craft their brand with them
I
through
think
fashion.
yes, I think Law Roche specifically is able to claim that because of his long-standing relationship with Zendaya. Because
Hmm.
much like other stylists, they kind of get called in when a person is already doing well and they just have a bunch of events to go to and they can't manage it and they want a certain association. Because that's the other thing that I think is cool that we learned throughout the season with Rachel Zoe is that it's not as much about the stylist themselves, it's more about the connections that that stylist has. So Rachel
Yes.
Zoe is personal friends with Michael Kors and Marc
Able to pull.
Jacobs and DVF, and so she can get certain things, and then she's already placed looks for key moments, so they trust her to a certain extent. That's why she has a warehouse or showroom full of clothes that even nobody has worn yet, because everybody's hoping that one of her people will put it on them. So it's a little
Yes.
bit different for a person like her than a Law Roche who starts when Zendaya is essentially nobody in the fashion world. She's just a Disney kid, and he's trying to put her in pieces. And they even talked about how they were like crashing red carpets. She's just showing up places well dressed that she wasn't even invited to just get those pics. So he helped position Zendaya to where she is now as like the face of Louis Vuitton and things like that. Where the average
Yes.
stylist is not gonna get that relationship. And a celebrity, no shade to them, they're not gonna stay with the person that long. Like once they start getting more money, they would like jump ship and go to a Rachel Zoe or a Law Roach or a Beyonce, some of Beyonce's stylists. She's had many, Zarina Akers, Ty Try One, Marnie, like they hop around. They skip around to whoever has the resources to pull those looks.
Yeah. Exactly. And those
Hmm.
connections. Yes.
And those connections. The young stylists right now I like are like Timothy Luke for Ice Spice. You said Brett with Doja Cat. I love, love, love Colin Carter with Cardi B, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
another
Totally.
person that could claim image architect because they started out together. And I feel like those teams too do better over time because you can see the growth. And that stylist has like a you see how stressed Rachel Zoe was for every single look. But I think when you start with a person, there's way more of like a tie-in, like you're almost family. So you're way more invested in what will make them look the best. You could push them a little bit to like, hey, I feel like you should do this. We've been doing a lot of these looks, I feel like. Because like some of Cardi's Met Gala looks are stuff that you would never assume that she would do.
Oh, yeah, because that's
Yeah.
where they push them, but also it's great because they're the connector, finding these, whether it be a smaller, because some of the people I follow, they're the actual people who are making, like, the corsetry, and I think today, even for her tour, they released, like, footage of, like, all of the corsetry and the things, the costumes that she's gonna wear on tour, but seeing, like, behind the scenes, yeah, it's really cool.
Very cute. I saw that she was on RuPaul's Drag Race and Zingman released the behind the scenes like of all the looks that they did for her and then her stylist because Cardi actually employs two trans people and she has since she started. She has Tokyo Styles on the hair and she has Erica LaPearl on the makeup and she included them in her RuPaul's Drag Race, which I thought was so cool.
Oh, yeah, so sweet.
So yes, we love a styling team that sticks together. These people, they do that a little bit less, and that's what Christian and I are going to get into when we talk about episode 2 of the Rachel Zoe project coming up next.